Hello there and welcome to Black Jackal Gaming. We've just had the LVO reveal for the new Kroot units, the auxiliary units in the Tau Codex. The Tau Codex is coming in spring and it should be the fourth next codex. There's going to be two entirely new shapers, one melee, one more range, and it's going to lead your army. There's a refresh kit coming for the Kroot Carnivores, which is your troop choice. There's two new Krootox units, one being range and one being melee again. And they're going to have their own dedicated detachment in the new codex. The tease that we revealed at the end of last year hasn't been revealed yet, and there's going to be much more to come. We've had the new Kroot Shaper revealed, and there's going to be two of them. The first up being the War Shaper. He's going to be the overall commander of the Kroot on the battlefield, so he's going to be the general, the captain type. He's going to come with melee options, which you can see there's many different options he can have available. And he's going to come with a ranged attacks in the form of either a dart bow or a short range tri-blade. Now he's an absolutely amazing looking character. He's got so many little trinkets on him and details to make him really stand out. And of course he's got the tactical rock as well. Then we've got the second new shaper. He is the Flesh Shaper. Now, he's going to be very much melee orientated by the looks of it, and he's going to be somewhat of a priest because his whole focus is to guide the Kroot when on the battlefield and when off, and basically dedicate his time to highlighting which flesh should be consumed because we know that they can consume the DNA of their enemies to evolve. He also comes with a ranged weapon hosted on his back. We don't really know what this is, but I imagine it's going to be probably more short range, maybe more of like a Kroot shotgun possibly. And again, a really good looking model, quite dynamically posed. He looks like he is here to try and take your flesh off of you. We've had updated Kroot Carnivores revealed. These are going to be the troop option for the Kroot. They don't currently have the battle line keyword within the index, but they should be gaining this for the detachment. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit tough to run them as a separate detachment. It's a refresh kit with all new special weapon options. It has a Tangle Bomb launcher. We don't know what this is going to do so far, but it's probably going to be a big grenade launcher, hopefully a little bit shorter range, but does a lot of damage. There's a nice little Kroot Hound option on the base, which looks really cool. I like that little bit of character they add to it. And they're a little bit more dynamically posed than the previous kit. We did have the Farstalkers come out in the kill team, which really outshone the Kroot Carnivores, made them look really dated, and the new kit really stands up next to them. We've got new Krootox Riders, and they're going to be two different variants. So first up we have the ranged option, which has a heavy weapon on the Krootox. Now the previous kit only had the one option, which wasn't the greatest of weapons, but this now has two different options at least. Hopefully there's a couple more on top of that as well. The big Krootox Fish should still do a fair bit of damage in melee, making it more of a slightly more flexible unit than you'd rather expect. The rules are currently quite poor for the Krootox, and they are in need of a rework if they do want to run this as a separate detachment. They're currently ballistic skill 4, 36 inch range, 2 attack, strength 7, 0 AP, 2 damage, so not a lot of damage output there for the price of the unit. The new models look entirely more imposing than the previous one. The last one's looked a bit gormless, not quite all there in the head, where these look really aggressive, really dynamic, and they do look like they could probably tear your face off. There's currently 1 to 3 models per unit, so you'll be able to field a fair few of them if they are quite good. Now we have the melee version, which is the Krootox Rampager. Now this guy looks phenomenal. It looks like they're going to come with pistols and throwing spears, so they will have some range capability. They won't be fully a melee unit. They do come with melee options as well, so hopefully there's two profiles, one for the Kroot and one for the Krootox, just to make them a little bit more flexible in combat. If they're pointed right, these guys should hit really hard in combat. The Krootox currently have weapon skill 3, strength 6, -1 AP, 2 damage, which is okay. When you put on top of that the Kroot will have attacks as well, and there might be a special ability coming in there as well. Hopefully there's an ability based on charging into combat to possibly do mortal wounds when they're entering, but no GW, it's probably going to end up being a battle shock ability. But either way, it's a really cool looking model, it's really dynamic. It does really look like it can be a unit that can charge up and do some melee damage. That's all that's been revealed so far, but there's a couple of additional bits and bobs that we can go through. So they did announce that they've revealed just over half of the range really, so there is more to come. There is going to be Kroot Hounds possibly coming because they are included in the new Kill Team set. So to get a fresh box of those would be really nice. The Greater Karnak is definitely a fan favourite, and it'd be a big centrepiece for the army because it is missing that big large unit. And the little reveal we had at the end of last year looked like it was a Kroot Sharper, a Shaper really on a Krootox. Now if it's a melee one so it can lead the new Rampager unit and give them some buffs, that'd be really cool. So looking at the current rules, they are a bit weak overall. When you look through all the data sheets, they are lacking damage, strength and AP across the board and don't have a high level of attacks to make up for it. Most of the AP for the Kroot are 0, with the odd one being -1 AP at best. The strength ranges from 4 to 7, with the majority being at strength 4, and the damage doesn't really go over 2, with most of the time it just being damage 1, which isn't great. It's going to be difficult for GW to add some high strength weapons into this, just because the base of what the army is anyway, unless the new Krootox gun is going to be really good. There is a way they could balance this with mortal wound abilities within the units, especially for the melee units, just to give them a little bit more oomph. They are lacking anti-infantry keywords and anti-vehicle and just keywords overall, so they could add these to the weapons to make them a bit more efficient as well. We are expecting one of the Shapers really to get lone operative, maybe the Flesh Shaper, because they are missing that in the army. They've got a lot of stealth and scout, but they don't have any lone operatives, which is a really strong keyword. They've got plenty of scouts throughout the entire army. They can do a lot of infiltration. They can do early game movements. They can gain a lot of the early board. They're not the strongest and toughest, and they're not going to stay there, but they can score points really early on. So they need a little bit of help for the rest of the game, just to see out the game, not get tabled, and be able to score those points late game. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any comments, then pop them below in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, then please hit the like button, as it greatly helps the channel. Hit the subscribe button to see any future Warhammer content. Take it easy and see you next time for more grim darkness from the 41st millennium.